In the heart of a picturesque village surrounded by lush green hills, there lived a man named Samuel. Samuel wasn't a wealthy man, but what he lacked in material possessions, he made up for with a heart full of kindness and a spirit always ready to serve. He was known by everyone in the village for his willingness to help others, no matter the time or place. One sunny morning, as Samuel was tending to his modest farm, he heard a commotion coming from the village square. Curious, he left his work and walked over to see what was happening. He found a crowd gathered around an elderly woman named Mrs. Thompson, who had fallen and injured her leg. The villagers stood around, unsure of what to do. Without hesitation, Samuel rushed forward, helped Mrs. Thompson to her feet, and offered to take her to the village doctor. "Thank you, Samuel," Mrs. Thompson said with a weak smile. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "Don't mention it," Samuel replied with a gentle smile. "We're all here to help each other." Samuel supported Mrs. Thompson as they made their way to the doctor's house. Along the way, they passed by a few villagers struggling with their daily tasks. One man was trying to fix a broken cart, while another was attempting to carry a heavy load of firewood. Each time, Samuel offered his assistance. He helped the man repair his cart and carried the firewood for the other villager. His journey to the doctor's house took much longer than expected, but Samuel didn't mind. For him, helping others was never an inconvenience. After ensuring Mrs. Thompson was in good hands, Samuel returned to his farm, only to find that the day had slipped away. The sun was beginning to set, and he hadn't finished his work. But Samuel didn't worry. He knew that what he had done that day was far more important than any chore on his farm. As the days went by, Samuel continued to help anyone who needed it. One day, a terrible storm hit the village, causing widespread damage. The villagers were devastated, their homes were damaged, crops destroyed, and some even lost their livestock. The situation was dire, and the people were at a loss for how to recover. Samuel, despite his own losses, immediately set to work helping those around him. He spent the next few days tirelessly repairing roofs, clearing fallen trees, and comforting those who were overwhelmed by the disaster. His hands were blistered, and his body ached from the hard labor, but he never complained. Samuel knew that the village needed him, and he would do whatever it took to help. As Samuel was helping an elderly couple repair their roof, a traveler passing through the village noticed his selflessness. The traveler, who was wealthy and influential, was deeply moved by Samuel's actions. He approached Samuel and said, "You are a remarkable man. Why do you go out of your way to help others when you yourself have so much to deal with?" Samuel paused, wiping the sweat from his brow, and replied with a gentle smile, "Helping others is not a burden, it's a privilege. When we help each other, we create a community where no one stands alone. We all have something to offer, and by giving what we can, we make the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time." The traveler was inspired by Samuel's words and decided he wanted to help too. He asked the villagers what they needed most and used his wealth to provide it. He donated funds to rebuild homes, provided new seeds for the farmers, and even arranged for new livestock to replace those that had been lost. The traveler's generosity, spurred by Samuel's example, helped the village recover more quickly than anyone had thought possible. As the village slowly returned to normal, Samuel's acts of kindness were not forgotten. The villagers began to follow his example, helping each other whenever they could. A new sense of community spirit blossomed, and the village became known not just for its beauty but for the kindness of its people. Years later, Samuel grew old, but his legacy lived on. The village continued to thrive, not because of wealth or prosperity, but because of the simple yet powerful principle that Samuel had embodied throughout his life: always help others. The villagers, young and old, remembered his words and passed them down through generations. Samuel's life became a story told to children, a reminder that the strength of a community lies in its compassion, and that true wealth is found not in what we keep but in what we give away. And so, the village prospered, bound together by the enduring legacy of a man who believed that the best way to live was to always help others.